Yella Beezy was once a big name in the Dallas rap scene, but now he is facing the most serious trouble of his life. The rapper, whose real name is Marquise Conway, has been charged with capital murder for the 2020 killing of his longtime rival, Mo3, whose real name was Melvin Noble. Beezy was known for his hit songs, expensive cars, and flashy lifestyle, but now he is sitting in a jail cell, waiting to see what will happen next. Police arrested Beezy at his home on Thursday, bringing an end to the freedom he thought he had secured. Authorities believe he played a major role in the deadly shooting that happened on Interstate 35 near the Dallas Zoo. The attack was shocking because Mo3 was chased on foot after trying to run from his car. The incident quickly became big news, and many people had been waiting to see if the police would find out who was responsible. Capital murder is one of the most serious charges a person can face. If found guilty, Beezy could spend the rest of his life in prison or even face the death penalty. Prosecutors are expected to present strong evidence, including witness statements and possible connections between Beezy and the events leading up to the crime. On the other side, Beezy's lawyers will fight to prove he is not guilty by questioning the evidence and challenging the accusations against him. As this case moves forward, more details will come out and the truth will become clearer. For now, Beezy remains behind bars, waiting for his trial, while fans and the hip-hop world watch closely to see how his story will unfold. The moment was shocking and tragic. A man walked up to Mo3's car, forcing him to get out. Mo3 saw the danger and tried to run, but the gunman chased him down and shot him in broad daylight, right there on the highway. For years, people had talked about the problems between Mo3 and Yella Beezy. Many believed their issues were more than just rap beef, but nobody expected police to link Beezy to the crime after so many years. Now, an indictment claims that Beezy planned the murder and hired a 22-year-old man named Ken White to carry it out. The authorities say Beezy promised to pay White for the job. This was not a random shooting, it was a planned killing. On the morning of November 11, 2020, Mo3 was driving on Interstate 35 near Illinois Avenue in Dallas when his life was cut short. Reports say that a man, believed to be White, ran after him and shot him several times before driving away in a black Chevy Camaro. Mo3 was taken to the hospital, but his injuries were too serious, and he lost his life. Police later arrested White, and he was sentenced to 9 years in prison for weapons charges linked to the shooting. Another man, Devin Maurice Brown Jr., was also taken into custody. However, for years, people still had one big question: who gave the order to kill Mo3? That question was finally answered when police arrested Beezy, accusing him of being the mastermind behind it all. Beezy was taken to Dallas County Jail, where he is now being held on a $2 million bond. His arrest shocked the hip-hop world. Many people had suspected that Mo3's murder was not just a street fight gone wrong, and now it seemed those suspicions were true. This was a carefully planned attack. For Beezy, this is not the first time he has faced legal trouble. Even before this case, he had already been arrested several times for different charges, including gun charges and a serious accusation of sexual assault. Now, with a capital murder charge against him, his future looks darker than ever. Even before this, Yella Beezy had been in trouble with the law many times. He had been arrested for different charges, including a case about child endangerment. But now, things were much worse. With a capital murder charge, he could spend the rest of his life in prison, never seeing the outside world again. Meanwhile, the people of Dallas had not forgotten. Mo3's mother, Nicole Williams Noble, did not stay silent when she heard about Beezy's arrest. She quickly posted on Facebook, calling it justice and saying that she could finally have peace. Many of Mo3's supporters filled the comments with messages of support. They had been waiting for this moment for years. To them, this was not just another arrest, it was the justice they had been hoping for. Even with all the rumors, Beezy acted like nothing was wrong. After Mo3's death, he did not change his ways. He kept living the same flashy lifestyle, showing off money, jewelry, and expensive cars. Instead of staying quiet, he kept posting on social media like nothing had happened. People in the streets were talking, connecting his name to the crime, but he did not seem to care. He stayed confident, acting like nobody could prove anything against him. Things became even more suspicious when Dontrell White, one of the men accused of killing MO3, was arrested. Soon after, pictures of him and Beezy together started spreading online. People started asking questions about how close they really were. But Beezy did not take it seriously. He acted like it was nothing. In fact, some people thought he was making fun of MO3 supporters. At the start of 2021, Beezy posted a video on Instagram to celebrate the new year. But the way he spoke made people uncomfortable. He said, "New year, new blessings. We made it through a crazy year. Anybody who is against you, anybody who brings negative energy, put them in the dirt." Many people believed he was secretly talking about MO3. To them, this was not just a rap rivalry. It felt like he was bragging, acting like he had already won. But his confidence did not last long. In February 2021, Beezy got a big surprise. Undercover officers arrested him. When they searched his car, they found 5 guns and a bulletproof SUV. It was clear that he was preparing for something. He was moving like a man who expected danger. But instead of realizing that the police were already watching him, he kept acting like nothing could happen to him. Now, it looks like his luck has finally run out. Beezy kept making risky moves, even when the police were watching him closely. He did not stop, and neither did the people around him. His friend, Trap Boy Freddy, made things worse by releasing songs mocking MO3's death. He showed no regret and made it clear that he was not sorry for anything. But now, everything has changed. Beezy is facing a very serious case. If he is found guilty of this murder, he may spend the rest of his life in prison, or even face a worse punishment. The streets of Dallas have always been dangerous, but prison is not any safer. Beezy will not just be a famous person in jail, he will be a target. MO3 was loved by many people, and there is no way to know who might be waiting for a chance to take revenge inside prison. As Beezy sits in his jail cell, he will have plenty of time to think about his choices. His fight with MO3 was not needed, and because of it, he lost everything. There was a time when Beezy and MO3 were not enemies. In the beginning, the rap scene in Dallas was not divided. The young rappers supported each other, took pictures together, and even performed on the same stage. But when money and fame started coming in, old street problems came back. Jealousy and anger grew, and friendships started to break. MO3 was a smart artist who knew how to tell real stories in his songs. He often said that his success brought enemies out of hiding. According to him, people from his past held on to old grudges and brought them into the music industry. Even Boozy Badass, the famous rapper from Baton Rouge, got pulled into the drama. At first, Boozy did not take sides. He just appreciated the talent in Dallas. He liked MO3's music, appeared in videos with him, and even made songs with him. MO3 was so proud of this that he started calling himself MO3 Badass to honor Boozy. While MO3 was rising, Beezy was also making a name for himself. His song That's On Me became very popular, and people were starting to pay attention to him. In an interview with Say Cheese TV, he confidently named himself as one of the top rappers in Dallas. He also mentioned other rising stars like Trap Boy Freddy, Go Yayo, and Lil Ron. At that time, everything seemed fine. But behind the scenes, problems were starting to grow. What started as friendly competition slowly turned into a serious and dangerous rivalry. At first, MO3 and Yella Beezy did not have any serious problems with each other. They were not best friends, but they were not enemies either. In the beginning, they even took pictures together and supported each other. But as they became more famous, things started to change. In May 2017, MO3 gave an interview where he admitted that he and Yella Beezy had a small issue in the past. But he said they had talked about it and fixed the problem. According to him, the issue started because of a misunderstanding, possibly over a woman. Yella Beezy also spoke about it in another interview and agreed that a female had caused drama between them. Even though they said the problem was solved, the peace did not last long. As both of them became bigger in the music industry, the tension between them grew stronger. Many people noticed that MO3's quick success made some other artists uncomfortable. Things took a deadly turn on May 27, 2017. That night, MO3 went to Club Phantom in Fort Worth for a concert. It was supposed to be a night of fun, but everything changed when gunshots were fired. Just before 4 a.m., a 31-year-old man named Hector Wilkins, also known as Lil Half, was shot in the torso. He was taken to the hospital but did not survive. Police immediately believed that the killing was gang-related. Not long after, MO3 found himself in serious trouble. Early one morning, police raided his home in a dramatic arrest. In a later interview, MO3 described how terrifying the moment was. He said he was home with his son when he suddenly heard loud banging at his door. Boom, boom. Before he even reached the door, he had a feeling something was about to happen. The moment he opened the door, a bright flashlight hit his eyes, and several police officers pointed big rifles at him and his child. They arrested him for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and set his bond at $100,000. Even behind bars, MO3 did not seem too worried. In a phone interview, he laughed and said that police treated him like a celebrity. He claimed they let him drive his own truck to jail and even stopped at McDonald's on the way. But even though he made jokes, the situation was very serious. MO3 later said that he spent over $90,000 on legal fees trying to prove he was innocent. The arrest left him with almost no money. He believed that police acted based on social media rumors instead of real evidence. In the end, the charges were dropped because there was no proof against him. As the tension in the Dallas rap scene continued to grow, comedian Roy Lee also got involved. He was known for his funny personality and honest opinions. Roy Lee often joked about the problems between MO3 and other Dallas artists. He said that it felt like MO3 against the whole Dallas-Fort Worth area. But while his words were meant to be funny, the situation was far from a joke. Roy Lee and MO3 were very good friends, so it was not a surprise that Roy Lee stood by him. He often made jokes about MO3's rivals, making fun of them in his usual way. But not everyone found his jokes funny. One person who did not take it lightly was Yella Beezy. In an interview, Roy Lee made fun of Beezy, mocking him for calling himself from Oak Cliff, America. He even dared Beezy to come on up so we can rob you. These words were not taken as a joke. In August 2017, things turned serious at King of Diamonds nightclub. Roy Lee and Yella Beezy got into a fight, but later, Roy Lee said that Beezy and his crew had attacked him unfairly. He was angry and demanded a fair one-on-one fight. In an interview, he made it clear, "This is between me and Yella Beezy. This has nothing to do with anybody else. Let us handle it like men." Roy Lee did not stop there. He kept making fun of Beezy, calling him names, questioning if he was really from Oak Cliff, and even saying he would bring family members into the fight. His jokes made the situation even worse. Then, in September 2018, Roy Lee was shot in the leg while sitting in a parking lot. At first, it looked like he would be fine. He kept performing at comedy shows and even posted videos on social media about the shooting. But things took a tragic turn. His injury caused blood clots, and a few weeks later, Roy Lee passed away. When the host mentioned MO3's name, Beezy smirked and said, "Who? MO3? I do not know who that is." This was very disrespectful, and it made MO3 very angry. Instead of arguing in interviews, he decided to respond through music. He released a diss track called "Let Me Find Out," where he directly called out Beezy. This was the moment when everything changed. Before this, their problems were mostly just words. But now, it was clear that MO3 saw Beezy as his enemy. As their feud grew worse, it started affecting the people around them. In January 2020, MO3's manager, Brandon Rainwater, was attacked outside V Live strip club in Dallas. Security cameras recorded the attack, and it was clear that this was no longer just a rap beef. It had turned into real-life danger. Security cameras captured a shocking scene. Yella Beezy and his crew ran after MO3's manager, Brandon Rainwater, dragged him to the ground and beat him right there in the street. The attack was brutal. Rainwater ended up with a dislocated hip. Later, he took the matter to court and sued Yella Beezy for $1 million in damages. MO3 did not stay quiet. He went live on Instagram and made fun of Beezy and his team for attacking a man who had nothing to do with the streets. A big breakthrough came on December 10, 2020, when police made their first arrest. They took 22-year-old aspiring rapper Quandantrell White, also known as FTG Banzo Bling, into custody. He was charged in connection with MO3's murder. According to court documents, police found out about White's involvement from an anonymous tip. They also had strong evidence, most likely cell phone data, which showed he was at the crime scene. However, even before his arrest, White was not careful at all. Just 2 days before MO3 was killed, White posted a picture on Instagram. He was holding large amounts of cash and a rifle. He wrote in the caption, "He put a bag on him. Now I am up." Looking back, this seemed to suggest that he had received money for the hit. Then, just 2 weeks after the murder, White was seen showing off a lot of cash at a jewelry store. Surveillance images also connected a car used in MO3's murder to a location linked to White. Even after he was locked up, White continued to act tough. From jail, he shared a preview of his new music. His lyrics talked about shooting from a moving car, which made people wonder if he was speaking about the murder. But what caught the most attention was his connection to Yella Beezy. Soon after White was arrested, photos of him with Yella Beezy started appearing, making people even more curious about the link between MO3's murder and the street rivalry in Dallas. White was often seen spending time with the Dallas rapper Yella Beezy, and many people started to believe there was a connection between them. However, even with all these suspicions, Yella Beezy did not seem to care. As the year 2020 was coming to an end, he posted on Instagram to celebrate. But his message was disturbing. He said he was putting his haters in the dirt. This bold statement made people even more suspicious. Many started to believe that he knew more about MO3's murder than he was admitting. The next month, White gave an interview from jail. He laughed off the accusations and said this was just what came with being a gangster. What shocked people the most was what he admitted next. He said that his own brother, Ducky P, had told him how famous he had become after being named a suspect in MO3's murder. His Instagram following had grown from less than 1,000 to more than 18,000. When someone asked him if he was finally ready for fame, he just laughed. Even though he liked to act tough, White denied having any real connection to Yella Beezy. But the police were still working hard to build their case. On April 23, 2021, they made another arrest. This time, they took in Devin Maurice Brown, another Dallas native, and charged him in connection with the murder. Reports said that Brown had personal issues with MO3, possibly because of a woman. Investigators found out that, on the day of the murder, Brown had contacted several people, keeping track of MO3's movements. Phone records also showed that Brown and White had been talking a lot, making it clear that the two had likely planned the murder together. When police searched Brown's home, they found an illegal AK-47 hidden in his closet, $3,200 in cash, and different illegal substances. The pieces of the puzzle were finally coming together, and police now believed they had their main suspect. But now, for years later, the case has taken a shocking turn. With Yella Beezy's recent arrest, everything has changed. Many fans who had suspected him for years now feel that they were right all along. Most importantly, it looks like MO3's family may finally get the answers they've been waiting for.